What's up, everybody? It's Bret back with you to review the latest pro wrestling news and results. It is Tuesday. Usually we would get into a little top 10 takes on a Tuesday, but we got a little bit of roll back to do. Like I said, on the mega rant of Death Before Dishonor, we have a Layin Da Rant Down to cover next here on Wrestling Rant. So let's get into it. This is a jam-packed Layin Da Rant Down with lots of news about signings, injuries, transactions in wrestling with somebody leaving one place to another, and the reasons why. We got some updated lineups for our show coming up, and a whole lot of other things to get into. Let's not waste any more time. Layin Da Rant Down starts right now. Let's get into it. And the first order of business, let's talk about some injuries that came down the pipeline last night from Monday Night Raw's episode. A couple of notable injuries to talk about, or potential injuries, that are keeping a couple of workers out, or will be keeping them out of the spotlight for a little while. First and foremost, Kevin Owens. Last night, if you watched Raw, you saw an injury angle certainly being set up. There was even a segment where Kevin Owens visibly was speaking that he thought something was broken. So this seems to be an indication that he's going to be taking some time off to heal some wounds. The word from Dave Meltzer and the Wrestling Observer last night over Wrestling Observer Radio was that Kevin Owens actually has a fractured rib that he's been working through for some time now, and I guess the time is where it's time to take some time off because of that injury, and that's why they set up that injury angle last night on Raw. No timetable on when he's returning. Also, no indication if the tag titles will be vacated. Hopefully, that's not the case. There's certainly no indication that anything's being set up for SummerSlam for Zayn or Owens. So those two are maybe noticeably missing from that pay-per-view because of this injury situation. The other one to note is Liv Morgan, who also had another injury angle last night go down. She was just injured not too long ago, if you recall. There was an issue with her shoulder, and last night they were doing another situation. This was a injury ankle, of course, so not a legitimate injury that they were doing, but working the shoulder once again. Galvanized the elbow and the shoulder. Rhea Ripley went off to set up, presumably, Raquel Rodriguez against Rhea Ripley for SummerSlam is the word, but kind of an unusual circumstance that they would be doing this with Liv Morgan right after they got the World Tag Titles in WWE for the women. Word is that this may be the same injury Liv Morgan had prior that has aggravated and returned. And then I've heard another report that this is simply just a storyline. She's not injured, and she is just maybe taking some time away to film a movie, Queen of the Ring, I believe it was called. So I don't know what's what with this. Time will tell. There has been rumors as well that Charlotte Flair is going to be taking some time off after SummerSlam for the same reason, to film this movie. I guess we'll see what happens if this in fact goes down, and I'm sure more information will be released as time goes on. What's really going on here? Is this a legitimate injury, or is this a storyline for her to take some time off to film a movie? Time will tell. All right, moving into the recent signings and transactions category here. Rush, the star from Mexico. We just saw in AAA's TripleMania Tijuana in a fantastic tag match. And word is that there was some negotiations going on both sides with AEW, who wanted to re-sign him. His contract with AEW recently had expired. It was a short-term contract, from what I understood. Maybe it was even a match-by-match contract, maybe not an official long-term contract. Whatever the case, there was negotiations going on. AEW made a very lucrative offer. And then on the other side, WWE actually made an offer for Reach to appear in NXT. The offer was not nearly as lucrative as the AEW offer, and because of that, last night on social media, Reach announced that he had signed with AEW a full-time contract. I would imagine this will kick off, more than likely, some sort of feud involving LFI, maybe Andrade. There's been some rumors that Thunder Rosa is going to get in the mix between all these guys, so something is brewing, I think, and Rush against Andrade would be not a bad feud to focus on in AEW. Another transaction to note, we found out a little over a week ago now that Eric Young had returned to Impact Wrestling, and he obviously left WWE. Nobody really knew what was going on too much. It was kind of a out-of-the-blue surprise situation. But more information has come out now since that time to gain some understanding on what happened with the Eric Young situation, why he left WWE so suddenly. It was not WWE's side releasing him. It was Eric Young requesting to be released from his contract for a couple reasons. The first one, as he noted in an interview recently, was that once Vince McMahon got back into power, from a moral standpoint, he just didn't feel comfortable being in the company after re-signing with them. That's a bold move. Now, not many workers will take, so I applaud him for that, for having a moral compass in this situation involving Vince McMahon. So that was kind of the first kind of reason why he left. And then the second seems, and this is probably why WWE released him with no problem, was that he was originally slated to be a part of the new Wyatt family. With Bray Wyatt, Uncle Howdy, who we know is Bo Dallas, Lyndon Rotunda, or Bo Rotunda, whatever you want to call him, and also Alexa Bliss is going to be in this group. But Eric Young was penciled in to be a part of this group when Bray Wyatt was presumably post-WrestleMania, when things would start really taking off with the storyline with Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family, the new Wyatt family. When Bray Wyatt fell out of grace or whatever has happened with him, then I guess they felt he wasn't as important to be keeping around, meaning Eric Young. They let him go around April, get a 30-day or 90-day, non-compete release clause. That got up, and then we saw him back in Impact. So, just a little bit of information and background. What led to Eric Young going back to Impact Wrestling from WWE? Another interesting news note that came down just a day or two ago was a few little things pertaining to AEW producers. First one to note is that apparently Orange Cassidy, of all people, has been given a little bit of a promotion of sorts, where he is now not only an in-ring competitor and an AEW champion, but he is a producer of AEW matches as well. There was a couple matches of note. There was a couple of Ring of Honor matches, particularly that he produced. And word is that they're probably going to keep him on in this role. Maybe in Ring of Honor would be my assumption on that. That time, we'll tell on that. Another interesting news item relating a producer job at AEW came up recently, where this conversation about Orange Cassidy getting a producer job is in social media, on Twitter, and things like that. Anyhow, a person who was being involved in Bret Hart's autobiography, I would presume a ghostwriter of sorts. I think his name was Brian Solomon. Don't quote me on that, but I think that was his name. He was responding to this idea of AEW producers and the unorthodox nature of it. Like, why aren't more veterans be producers instead of current in-ring talent? And I tend to agree with that. It may be a conflict of interest that an in-ring talent that's currently working constantly is a producer. There's some exceptions, like if a Dustin Rhodes or something like that. That makes more sense. He's been around for a long time. Cassidy is not kind of kind of licked his chops in the business long enough in some people's minds to get that producer role. But as he came up, like I said, Brian Solomon, who did the autobiography of Bret Hart, in a tweet that he posted where he said that Bret actually told him that he approached AEW, and I'm not sure when this was exactly. This could have been years ago, not sure. But he approached AEW to want to become a producer for them, to help lay the matches out, to assist and all that kind of stuff, which I think, Bret Hart and his love of the business would be a fantastic get for AEW. And according to this, Brian Solomon, AEW actually turned Bret Hart down and said that they would only be interested in a manager role for Bret Hart. That is quite interesting. And I guess looking back at the history of things, Tully Blanchard, Jake Snake Roberts, Arn Anderson, are any of these guys producers? I don't know. I don't think they are. So maybe that is a thing in AEW that they would rather have the legends not be a hand as doing producing duties. Now, I know some guys like Christopher Daniels and others, Jerry Lynn will certainly, of course he's retired, but they are producers in this company, so I don't really know what the rule is with this, but I tell you, I think at this point AEW should reach back out to Bret Hart, especially after what just happened with the Owen Hart tournament and everything, and reconsider this and get him in the mix, offer him a producer job. I mean, he would be an absolutely great addition to AEW on that level. All right, we got an update on a upcoming pay-per-view card. We just had AAA TripleMania Tijuana. Let's talk about the lineup for the last TripleMania of the three. That is TripleMania 31 Mexico City, August 13th. And what a card this is lining up to be. We know about that four-way match. Loser gets either their head shaved or their mask taken off. Sam Adonis, Psycho Clown, Roosh, and LA Park. Betting odds seem to be that Sam Adonis will be the one losing his hair. I guess time will tell. That makes complete sense. And here's some other matches, though, that have been announced at a press conference recently for this event. The AAA Mega Championship will be on the line with El Hijo del Vecino in there against Speedball Mike Bailey coming in from Impact Wrestling. I think this is his first shot in AAA. Also, Daga and Jack Cartwheel. That should be a fantastic four-way match. Also, the Latin America title. If you recall, Phoenix recently vacated both of these titles. The Latin American title, which will be on the line in this match, a four-way, with QT Marshall, Pentagon Jr., Dralistico, and Brian Cage. Another strong-sounding match on paper. No word on what they're going to do with the Cruiserweight Championship. Would not be shocked if there's like a scramble match of some sorts on this card to crown the new Cruiserweight Champion. But it's really a shame, because looking back, before Phoenix got the Cruiserweight Championship, he defeated the Laredo Kid in I think it was actually a scramble match in itself. He didn't defeat Laredo Kid, but Laredo Kid lost the title in that match. The interesting note on that was Laredo Kid had that Cruiserweight Championship for a whopping 121 days. That reign ended because of Phoenix getting the title, which he then never ended up defending. So kind of a sad state of affairs. I kind of feel like they need to figure out a way to get the title back to Laredo Kid and just continue that run for him. Also at TripleMania New Mexico, or TripleMania Mexico City, we're going to have Taya against Flammer for the Rey de Reyes Championship, and another big match that was announced, stemming off of the last TripleMania. Nicho El Millonario, the original Psychosis, against Negro Casas in a grudge match. So I think there was also a women's trios match announced, and then there is also going to be another Rumble style match to kick off TripleMania. That appears to be the entire card, but like I said, I would not be shocked if they had a Cruiserweight title scramble match on this card as well to fill it out. Let's get into a couple updates on things. First and foremost, All In update. Latest numbers for All In the ticket sales from Wembley Stadium for late August is 76,251. 69,700 of those tickets are paid and sold. That gives a gross currently of $8.9 million in the gates. And to follow up on some updates we've done earlier on All In and the numbers, wondering where it falls in the best paid attendance in pro wrestling history. It's right now at about third. WrestleMania 3, according to Dave Meltzer, had a paid attendance, and he dropped this past week in the newsletter, of 75,700. That, according to Dave Meltzer, is the paid attendance for WrestleMania 3. That does not include additional people that were in the Pontiac Silverdome beyond that. This was the paid attendance. Also, so that is number 2 of all time. Number 1 of all time is WrestleMania 32 from Dallas, Texas. And varying opinions on what the paid attendance was. Meltzer had it at 80,700. I saw another post from another news site that said it was 79,800 paid, according to somewhere out of Dallas. So let's just say 80,709. That's the goal. That's where AEW needs to get. That's about, we're talking about 11,000 more paid attendance to beat this record of all time. They may possibly do this. It's hard to say. The total from Dallas with paid and comps was about 84,000. So they could very well both get the paid record of all time as well as the total attendance all together, paid and not paid, if they can get to capacity on where it's at right now, according to WrestleTix. They have a current setup of 87,825 with roughly about 12,000 tickets available. 12,000. So if they can sell the rest of those tickets, we are going to have a record-breaking situation here for All In at Wembley Stadium in London. Stay tuned. We'll keep updates going on with this. Keep in mind, folks, there has not been one single match announced yet. Unbelievable. All right, and to close out this Layin Da Rant Down this week, a G1 update following up from nights 5 and 6. Now, keep this in mind. Overnight, last night and into today, they did night 7. I have not read anything on this yet. I have not seen anything on this yet. In fact, if you look behind me on the TV, that is night 7. So I'm going to check that out after I get done with this rant. So this is only for after night 6. All of the matches after night 6. Let's talk about first night 5, which was one of the better nights so far in the G1. We had some really good matches. Gabriel Kidd and Ren Narita, I would suggest. Will Ospreay and Kenta was really good. Shota Umino and Kiyomiya was excellent. Okada and Taichi was a banger. No question. That was all in night 5. Night 6 generally was kind of a letdown. The lone really highlighted the whole night 6 was Shingo Takagi and Tomohiro Ishii, who had a fan-fucking-tastic match. Also, Zack Sabre Jr., Alex Coughlin was all right. Not must-see. Tanahashi and Jeff Cobb also. Not completely must-see, but it was okay. So, as of the end of night 6, these are your top guys in each category of each block. Block A, Sonata is undefeated with 3-0. Block B, Okada undefeated, 3-0. Block C, David Finley, 3-0. And then on Block D, Zack Sabre Jr. and Jeff Cobb, both at 3-0. Now, like I said, Night 7 occurred last night into the overnight here. So we're going to have some different changes on particularly Block A and Block B, which is part of Night 7. And then Night 8 will have Block C and Block D matches. So we'll be keeping updates going on with the G1 here, no question about it. Stay tuned, Wrestling Rants. I'm watching every single night of G1 this year, so I will be giving you all the lowdown as things happen in this fantastic month-long round-robin tournament, G1 Climax 33. All right, that's it for Layin Da Rant Down. Come on back. We are not going to be doing a top 10 takes tonight, more than likely. We're going to be shelving that to next week, where we'll probably taking a look back at the month of July and all the fantastic stuff that happened in July as part of a top 10 takes. But tomorrow, stay tuned. Must-see matches, of course, on Wednesday. Thursday, retrospective. We're going to try to fit versus in late on Thursday. That's the Impact versus Ring of Honor stuff. And if I can fit it in as well, a special little preview looking ahead at Friday and Saturday that I will be front row ringside in Chicago at Cicero Stadium for Impact Wrestling, 2 nights of tapings for Access DVD, and plenty of content will be dropped from those shows, no doubt. See you right back here. Let's have a wrestling match later in the week. Take care.